Cool boots.
Thanks.
Sharp tips.
Uh-huh.
Just in case anyone attacks you.
Yeah. Good kick in the shins.
Smart move.
We need to re-sign this. This is going to be the amendment by substitution.
Yeah, show support. Yeah, it's cool.
Thank you.
Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Kay, could you call the roll?
Dennis.
Here.
Harold.
Here.
Hollenbaugh.
Here.
Odoricio. Phipps.
Here.
Robinette.
Here.
Rabando.
Here.
All right, the minutes from our meeting on January 18th were distributed prior to this meeting for your perusal. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, thank you much. We have a swearing in this evening. Mr. Mayor, if you could lead us in swearing in.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is one of the really fun parts of the job. This evening, we get to recognize achievement and new leadership within the confines of our police, or I'm sorry, our fire division. This evening, it is really my distinct pleasure to extend the oath of office promoting Tony Zmarzley to the rank of Deputy Chief within the Fire Division. Tony has worked hard for many years, demonstrating his commitment to the community and the residents of Bowling Green, his commitment to his peers within the Fire Division, and he has earned the respect of his leaders and his peers, I think reflected by the fact that I think the whole shift has turned out this evening. So we're going to make this quick because I'm sure there might be a fire or emergency somewhere in Bowling Green. So at this point, Tony, if you and your family would like to join me along with Lori Treader, our safety director and chief Mormon, I would like to administer the oath of office. Safeguard fire.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, council members. Tonight, I want to introduce to you a person that I have had the privilege of knowing for the last 23 years. In that time, I've witnessed Tony develop into not only a great firefighter, EMT, but a great leader. Tony exemplifies what it takes to excel in his chosen profession. His commitment to the community is unwavering. Tony is what makes BG Fire one of the greatest fire departments in the country. As firefighters, we try to live by what I call the 3 C's. That's courage, compassion, and commitment. Tony has not only earned the respect of his peers, he has earned their friendship and trust. Tony has not done this on his own. It takes a strong family to survive in this sometimes very difficult career. His family has had to sacrifice many Christmases, birthdays, and sleepless nights when Tony is either at work or at the emergency scene for hours on end. So to his family, I say thank you for your sacrifice. Tony, I know you continue to serve the community and your fellow firefighters with the highest integrity. Congratulations in being our newest deputy chief.
Congrats, Tony. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Do you want to sign that? Leave it with me. Mhm. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, is there any correspondence this evening?
I have no correspondence.
Okay. That brings us to lobby visitation. Has anyone signed up for lobby visitation?
Yes, the first person is Lindsay Joe Durham.
You could come to the microphone and give your name and address for the record, please.
Hello, my name is Lindsay Joe Durham and I live at 853 Parker Street. I'm here
Lindsay,
today.
just a little bit closer to the microphone, please. Hard to hear you.
I'm here today to introduce you to a new 501c3 nonprofit named BGO Pride. Our group aims to support the LGBTQIA+ community through activism, education, networking, event planning, and linking to additional resources. We strive for visibility and to increase awareness and safety within Bowling Green, Ohio. As an ally myself, BGO Pride has also been a wonderful avenue of education for those not a part of the community. I encourage you all to become involved in this group through our upcoming events, which I will let our president, Miranda Douglas, tell you about.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Miranda Douglas, and I'm the new president of BGO Pride Association. Kind of nervous, so please be patient with me. We help and reach out to the LGBTQ community, and we do groups. A lot of them are based out of Ground for Thoughts coffee shop, and we have game nights, and we have a media club. We've had a holiday potluck, and we're actually going to start a hiking group at some of the metro parks, so we can get people involved in the community. We have a fundraiser that's going on, and that's going to be held at Ground for Thoughts on February 14th. We'll have a table there. We actually have it going on online on Facebook right now, but we'll be doing a setup at Ground for Thoughts, live setup for everybody that in the area that doesn't know about the Facebook fundraiser. But we're really trying to reach out to the LGBTQ community of Wood County and Bowling Green. I'm actually from Rudolph, Ohio, but I'd like to learn more about Bowling Green if I could. If anybody knows any LGBTQ people, they can send them to us and we'll just help them any way we can. I actually work with Spectrum of Findlay as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be helping them set up their Pride on June 4th. So I'm really involved with a lot of, like, even Toledo, Equality Toledo. I'm involved with them, and I've done their food pantry and worked in the community as far as that goes too. So this is new to me, being a president of a group like this. So hopefully I can make the city proud and help the community.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice to meet all of you.
It's nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other people signed up for lobby visitation?
No, that's it.
That brings us to the introduction of new legislation.
Mr. President,
Mr. Harold.
I have 3 resolutions from Transportation and Safety. A resolution authorizing the City of Bowling Green to participate in the financial and economic analysis relating to the Toledo Columbus Corridor Study for Passenger Rail. A resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Bowling Green, Ohio, to file a capital and operating plan for the years 2022 through 2025 with the Ohio Department of Transportation for grants through the U.S. Department of Transportation as authorized under federal transit laws as codified 49 U.S.C. Section 5311, financial assistance for other than urbanized areas, and a resolution authorizing the filing of an application or applications with the Ohio Department of Transportation for grants through the U.S. DOT Federal Transit Administration, FTA, as authorized under federal transit laws as codified 49 U.S.C. Section 5311, formula grants for rural areas, Ohio's Rural Transportation Program, and or the Ohio Transit Partnership Program, and executing a contract for the fiscal year 2023 Ohio Elderly and Disabled Transit Fare Assistance Program and 5339 and or 5311 funding for capital and or operating assistance, and the Ohio Transit Partnership Program, and executing a contract with the Ohio Department of Transportation upon project approval.
Okay. Brings us to official reports. Mayor, do you have a report?
Good evening. That was quite a punch that old man Winter threw at us the other night, wasn't it? Or last week, wasn't it? I just wanted to comment on the efforts of our Public Works Division. As usual, they responded as we have become accustomed to them doing so. They work around the clock, 2 shifts, 2 12-hour shifts, and I think the work that they do is exceptional. And I greatly appreciate the work that they do. When I say as usual, I don't want to minimize the work that they do, and I certainly don't want to take for granted the work that they do. I just want to highlight their efforts because, again, I will say I think they do terrific work. I also wanted to comment on what I thought was an exceptional effort by our police division in the context of that storm we encountered last week. As you're aware, we more proactively than normal issued a snow emergency, urging, which actually requires residents to remove their cars from designated snow streets 2 hours after the issuance of the snow emergency. It became pretty clear that we were going to get more than 2 inches of snow. When we issue that, our concern is that, or our goal is that people are going to comply. They're going to move their cars off the road so that we can safely and efficiently remove the snow. We never want to tow cars. I mean, that is just never what we want to do. Unfortunately, in some cases, we do have to do that. This time, to the first time that I'm aware, maybe Joe, you can tell me otherwise, but first time that I'm aware, the police division identified some cars that had not been moved by the required time and proactively worked to identify the owners of those cars and contact them personally and coordinate them moving the cars, which I think was really helpful in, first of all, getting cars off the streets so the streets could be plowed, and also avoiding people's cars getting towed. So again, I think that's another example of our police division rising to the occasion and providing the service that we come to expect. So I appreciate their efforts as well. In a couple of minutes, you're going to hear Joe Fawcett during his report is going to introduce Amanda Gamby, the city's sustainability and public outreach coordinator, and Hallie Williams, our community affairs coordinator, to talk with you about the proposed ARPA-related community feedback outreach effort. Before you hear from Amanda and Hallie, I wanted to share with you my thoughts on the questionnaire. In City Council's 2022 goals, one of the items was to facilitate community discussion on the best use of American Rescue Act ARPA funding. This proposed community questionnaire is a tool for council to utilize as part of this discussion. Hearing from our community is an important and valuable guide on how we operate our local government. In seeking to support council's goal to engage the community in discussion about opportunities, staff was asked to formulate a brief 10-question questionnaire that can be shared via the city's contact list and promoted by elected officials. To form the questions, existing council and community priorities were identified on which to gauge community interest and support. Specifically, Ongoing council goals and planning and community documents were identified and listed as part of the questions. Note that an area is also available for respondents to share additional opinions. So as Amanda and Hallie will explain, this questionnaire is ready for distribution. I see this really as an active way to begin council's community discussions around this matter. I think, like I am, you'll be impressed by the work that Amanda and Haley have put together, and I think it's going to be a useful, beneficial tool, and I look forward to you seeing it this evening. That completes my report, subject to any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions for the mayor this evening? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Municipal Administrator, Ms. Treader.
Good evening. I also want to share the mayor's accolades for our city crews who were out clearing the heavy snow that was out there. It was a difficult storm for us to battle. And I want to note too that the mayor raised the question and brought up, the impressiveness that we did not have to ticket or tow folks. And, I think that compliment goes to our citizens for adhering to that, understanding the importance of that. And that our police division in any emergency or, snow emergency situation does try if they're able to contact folks. That is something we do try to do when possible. But certainly the compliance, this one stood out to us with that. When we are battling a storm like that, all of the city operations are impacted. Police officers, firefighters, plant operators, electric linemen, the list goes on. Everybody needs to be here and be ready to respond and help our citizens out should they be needed. And we have to make that happen for them. So we really do appreciate and commend them. When the forecast was looking pretty dire, you start thinking about police cars being able to respond to people's residences, ambulances getting through. And I'm always so impressed with our staff who starts to work together to say, okay, worst case, how can we do this? How can we continue to provide safety and security to our residents when they certainly would be needing us most? So again, I think a valuable team accomplishment here. The other thing I wanted to address is that Friday I sent you an email about commercial quadricycles. I guess they're technically called, but the pedal bikes that were brought up to you at the last meeting. And just wanted to follow up, see if you had any questions on that and or if you had any actions that you would like us to take with regard to that.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I spoke with the business owner, and the only issue that he flagged was the end time, excuse me, which I believe was 10 o'clock. He requested that we extend that to 11 o'clock. The way that he runs his particular operation, he starts at 5, goes until 8, starts at 8 to 11. Is there a reason that we
lined it up with DORA.
Okay.
We lined it up with the DORA ending. So of course, if in your legislation, you would rather us prepare it a different way, we can do that. But we also are concerned about operations after dark. Once it gets dark, it makes us a little, as safety folks, a bit more nervous about those being in particularly congested areas of town.
Sure. I thought it was a reasonable request to extend it past 11, but I suppose that we can discuss that.
Could you ask Mr. Marsh to put that into a legislative form and then forward it to the members of the Transportation and Safety Committee so that they can schedule a hearing?
Sure.
Just to be clear, there's nothing that we need to do in order for him to open his business, correct? So if he opens before we pass these regulations, then we are putting more restraints on him than the state of Ohio.
Correct. Yes. Yes. If Bowling Green is silent and has no laws, it all defaults to the Ohio Revised Code.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions or comments?
Lori, there wouldn't be any problem with being retroactive in terms of you'd wanted a permit to be filed and also some form of insurance. If the business starts before that, there's no problem, especially since there's a kind of a heads up that might be coming down the road. That there's no complication there.
I'm going to, of course, look at our city attorney and say, think we can make people comply with a law that is passed in the city by legal means. Yeah.
Thanks.
Again, as you can imagine, sure, it'd be preferable to line them up so that as he starts his operation, we are, have our laws in place.
Did you have anything else that you wanted to say in your report?
Nope, I'm finished, subject to your questions.
Are there any questions for Ms. Treader this evening? Okay, thank you very
Thanks.
much. City Attorney, Mr. Marsh. Are there any questions for Mr. Marsh this evening? Okay. Public Services Director, Mr. Fawcett.
Good evening. As the mayor noted, Hallie and Amanda will be presenting to you probably the better part of 3 or 4 months worth of some hard work by the communication staff to go through some of our past planning documents and some of the topics that we've noticed members of council talking about to help kind of steer some of the public discussion with regards to the ARPA funds. Before I do that, though, I'd like to I guess pick up on what the mayor mentioned as far as a big thank you to the staff the past week with the winter storm. Public Works worked around the clock to ensure the roads were cleared. And Amanda and Hallie did a phenomenal job on the communication side, trying to get the information out to our residents of ways they can be helpful and stay in compliance with the law. Subject to your questions, that's all I have.
I have a question.
Sure.
The Mannequin Smith study on bicycle treatments, the update to the transportation map, how is that progressing? When can we expect? I mean, and I guess in the context of ARPA, we're getting ready to pave 30 miles of roadway. Are we going to be able to line up the new transportation plan with those paving projects?
Perhaps. The ARPA paving project is curb to curb, so it's the focus was asphalt. With regards to the Mannequin Smith study, it is still ongoing. We're kind of in the tail end of it, and that's a survey that will go out to residents here, hopefully in the next month or so. We're working with the Masters in Public Administration course at BGSU to create a scientific survey. So we are right in the middle of that right now.
So going back and needing to, or being able, we will be able to go back and restripe, or most of the paving that we're doing is not going to be striped. We'll be able to go in and add stripes if we want to do some sort of on-street bike treatment.
Well, I think we need to see what comes of the survey and to see what Mannequin Smith study the results are. When I was looking at the ARPA paving list for the year 1, if there would be any conflicts for some of the streets that we've noted on the 2007 Master Transportation Plan, the Bicycle Safety Commission's list. And I didn't see conflicts that would make us put a pause on the paving project. So at this point, I don't feel there's a real big need to stop that.
So the one, I guess, would be Wooster Street, which has been planned for a number of years. Is that one that we can go in and restripe, or is that a conversation we need to be having now?
Well, that's not a part of the ARPA paving project. That is urban paving through ODOT. And I think what my recommendation to the mayor certainly is, I think we need to do the first step first, which is to use the grant dollars that we have obtained to pave the road after the utility project. And if through the community survey, Mannequin Smith study, and action by council, it's determined to do some other treatment on Wooster Street, then we would apply that in the future at some time, or at some point, excuse me.
Any other questions for Mr. We are ready for your special presentation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you advance for me, David? Because I pushed through. Thank you. So I believe that you all received the information that's coming around here by email. So you should have this also virtually to review at your leisure. And members of the press, we have some for you too. So make sure to take care of you after this. But as Joe mentioned, and the mayor had also introduced very well, Hallie and I are going to spend just a little bit of time tonight explaining kind of the process that we have planned. And we're basically gearing this all around an online feedback form, intentionally using the word questionnaire and forms because unlike the bike survey that we're doing, this will not be done in any type of scientific method. We're really just going to do our best to reach out to the community and get as much feedback back as we possibly can. I'll let Hallie touch base more on what all we're going to do in terms of our outreach strategy. But we're hoping that you'll all help us in that role to get the word out. Jeff was kind enough to share I believe you called it a survey, for lack of a better word, questionnaire that he used on his social media platform. And he was able to get some responses from folks. So we used a little bit of feedback from Jeff. We also liked how he had sort of structured some of the questions, asking folks to prioritize the categories first, and then digging in a little bit deeper into what some examples would be, particular projects for that area and that type of thing. So David, if you wouldn't mind pushing forward for me, thank you. One thing I do not want to forget to mention is although this is an online form, we are partnering with our community development office here on the second floor and also with the Wood County Library to provide a kiosk for folks who may not have access to the internet or a computer. We're really aiming to gather as much feedback as we possibly can. And we realize that keeping it in the online format could have a little bit of a restriction. So we're grateful to have that partnership. The library is basically going to just take one of their information kiosks that they have on site and convert it for a month or so for us with signage and the link right there. So we're very thankful for that. If you could go ahead, David, and this is a little hard to see here on the screen, but the survey introduces itself first explaining what ARPA is. It also lets residents know how much money we were allocated. So I think there's a little bit of confusion out there on how much money everybody's getting, and you know, the county gets this and we get that, and my community gets this and that kind of thing. So we want to be very clear at the very beginning of the survey how much funding we have, how we're prioritizing funding. I think it's a little bit confusing because, you know, one community might be using a certain designation prioritizing funding. Since we're using that replacement of funds category, it gives us a little bit more leeway on the projects we can use this for. We've also gone ahead and listed some of the projects that you all have approved in the 2022 budget or through other planning activities. So really the big piece of that is we didn't want to do the survey, leave out paving, for example, and get 60,000 comments, wishful thinking, that we should be paving the streets when you've already designated about $3 million to pave the streets. So we're really doing our best, not only in the survey, but in the community outreach to make sure it's very clear to residents what we've already designated some of this money for. So you'll see that right off the bat. And then with the remaining like 50%-ish or so left of those dollars, we've then tried to prioritize some of the projects, as Joe mentioned, that have come up in planning documents, at meetings, and in some of the other committee work that you all do. Some feedback we received from Jeff, and we wholeheartedly agreed with him. We wanted a little bit, we didn't want to get into too like details on demographics and that sort of thing, but we wanted a little bit of an idea of where people who are responding were coming from. Do you live in Bowling Green? Do you work in Bowling Green? Are you a student in Bowling Green? Those types of questions so that we could get a little bit of an idea of, okay, who are these respondents from? If we get 200 responses and none of them live in Bowling Green, okay, well, that's not going to be very helpful necessarily, you know. The next question was, what ward do you live in? We're a small community, but I think we all recognize that, you know, there's a little bit of a demographic change depending on which ward you live in, and what might matter to you in Ward 2 might not matter to somebody in Ward 4 for various reasons. So once we get through just a couple of quick little demographic questions, we get into the meat of the survey. And David, if you could push forward for me. So as I mentioned, you can see that each question is structured in a way that first we categorize it. So the very first section is downtown enhancements. There were quite a few projects that have been identified for possible funding in the downtown area. So that was one that did receive its own designation. So you'll see the very first top part of that is asking you to first prioritize how important you feel it is to fund downtown enhancements, just in that general category. From there, we listed specific projects to help get folks thinking as to what it is some of those projects in that area may be. So for this particular example, you can see things like the downtown building facade improvements, the alleyway improvements, and some of the other items that have come up in past discussions. It goes through about 4 sections like that. Again, trying to keep this short enough that people will respond and complete the whole thing, but not too long that it gets a little bit overwhelming and we don't get those final responses that we want. Final section was important to us because we recognize that we probably didn't capture all of the great ideas out there. We probably didn't catch maybe that one grandiose pet project of some citizen A out there that they really want us to focus on. So we wanted the respondents to have the opportunity to give us that feedback in the blank section there at the bottom. We made it as many characters as possible. So we'll see what kind of feedback we also gather from there as well. And then a shameless plug for our e-news at the bottom, because we are constantly trying to build that. That of course goes out on Wednesdays, and we'll be reporting the results of this survey and promoting this survey and that tool as well. So I will turn it over to Hallie before we entertain questions, because I think she might answer some of them that you may have.
So first and foremost, as we're getting into this project, you guys have had a lot of questions about this, a lot of concerns, and a lot of confusion around what ARPA is. So it's really, really important for us to be doing good and getting continued communications out on what this is. And we need to keep getting this in front of people over the next month. This isn't just something where we've built out this questionnaire and once you build it, they will come. We're going to plan on continuing to get this in front of people in every different avenue and stream that we have. So we'll be seeing this weekly in the e-news. You guys see the press release that will go out tomorrow as well. You guys will also see the display flyer there. Sorry, David, you can advance too. This is just kind of a brief overview of what the promotion package looks like. We have some different options of what we'll be using on social media. But we can't just do this from our social media pages and just our e-news. So we need you guys' help. All right. Now, with that said, I'm not expecting you guys to do it all. So as we are posting this information, some of you guys are more active through your social media pages than others, and that's great. And if not, that's not a big problem either. I'll be reaching out to you, or Amanda will be reaching out to you, and we'll be sending you guys these images, these graphics, the correct links, all of these things, and some just a few little like bumper sticker messages that you guys can share through your clientele and your followers through your social media pages, however you'd like to do so. Facebook, Instagram, you guys want to do a TikTok? Heck yeah, go for it. Right on. I'm not doing one, but so we're going to give you guys the tools, but this is definitely a team effort. We need your help to get as much feedback as possible. Good, bad, ugly. We're expecting it all. And then once that comes in, David, you can advance again. We're going to gather all of this data, all of these results, and then hopefully comb through it all and really try to package it nicely for you guys so we can see what are our demographics saying? Are we saying collectively as a whole? Where are our priorities in terms of those 4 different priority sections? And then also where are our priorities of specific projects that we're funding? So bear with us a little bit. Once we get all that data in, we're more than happy to share, that with you guys, but also hopefully we can comb that down and get through those fun comments for you so you're not having to do that. But we've spent a lot of time in this and we know how important and how dedicated our citizens are here in the city. And so we want to do whatever we can to help and make sure that we're making good, educated decisions as a team.
Any questions?
Are there any questions from the presentation?
I have a quick question. So you said the press release is going out tomorrow.
Mhm.
With that being said, I mean, would you want us starting to push this on social media tomorrow, or would that be more of like a next week thing?
No, that would be great. As soon as we get our webpage live, we'll go ahead and publish everything. We do have a dedicated webpage as well. We'll go ahead and push that live tomorrow and start spotlighting it. We have kind of a rule of thumb at the communications department that the press release goes first.
Yeah.
So as soon as we release that, then we pretty much unleash the rest of the social media and everything else. So as soon as we do that, we can send you guys a quick note so you'll know it's out there. And it could be as easy as just, sharing what we have. So not a lot of work on your part, just a quick reshare for us would be awesome. So
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank
I do
you.
have one other question.
Mhm.
So I know you're going to do an amazing job compiling the results. Would there be a way that we would be able to look at the raw data that was coming in?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay,
So
fantastic.
Constant Contact is great in that way. It's basically just an export of the data. Sometimes it's not pretty. So what we may
Right.
do for you is just screenshot it and put it a little bit nicer in a document for you. But yeah, you can see all of it.
Awesome. Thank
Yep,
you so
it'll pull
much.
it off for
Really
you.
appreciate it.
No problem.
Any other comments, questions?
I have a question. I think it's going to be more geared towards maybe the city attorney, Joe, possibly. There's
Okay.
some items on here that I think are already in motion. Downtown restrooms being one. There are others that are, I think, obligations that we're going to pay. I mean, a new roof for the community center is not, something that we need to rank as a community. That when we need a new roof, we're going to put a new roof on the community center. How are we able under the American Rescue Plan to reimburse ourselves for those expenses? Or, I mean, this is all permissible under the law?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And the
That's just more
community,
broad than
the community center roof is a good question. And certainly when it comes time to replace that roof, we're gonna figure out a way to do that. Of the items within parking recreation facility maintenance wise, it's probably the biggest ticket we have right now at $500,000, just the city share. So when you think about the use of ARPA, you can certainly see that it could be very useful to the city and the community. So
I guess that brings up another good question for me. Are some of these other entities, for example, in the community center, I mean, is there an opportunity to partner with them? And are they willing to make that investment right now with these funds also?
well, we have till 2026 to pay any invoices associated with ARPA. So there is certainly some time there. And, with the state of Ohio being the building owner, I'm sure they're tracking the lifespan of the roof.
Any other questions? Okay, well, I would like to thank you very much for all the time that you put into putting this survey together, questionnaire together. And I look forward to seeing the results.
We do too. Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay. Public Infrastructure Director, Mr. O'Connell.
Sorry, Mike, I can't, sorry. I just have one announcement, and I made it at the last meeting. Was Jim O'Neill is our new Assistant Utilities Director. Well, he's here tonight. He's over against the wall by himself in the chair.
Hello.
I really thought when the flags were here, maybe he thought that was going to be for him. Sorry, Jim. We'll get you next time. So I just wanted him to come tonight and meet you all so you can see who he is if you're in the building, and wonder who's the guy in Daryl's office. Well, that's Jim. But if you have questions for us or for me or for Jim, feel free to send us an email or call us, and be happy to get you questions and answers as we can. But that's all I have for tonight, unless you have questions for me.
Are there any questions for Mr. O'Connell? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome aboard, Jim.
Council committee reports. Do we have any committee reports this evening? Okay, hearing none. Reading of legislation. Okay,
Legislation for first reading, resolution number 3816 for first reading. Resolution authorizing the city of Bowling Green to participate in the financial and economic analysis relating to the Toledo Columbus corridor study for passenger rail.
Mr. President,
Mr. Harold.
I move that we suspend the rules and give resolution its second reading.
Second.
Okay. Properly moved and seconded. Okay,
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Rubando,
Yes.
Dennis.
Yes.
Okay, the rules are suspended for resolution 3816.
Resolution number 3816 for second and third reading,
It's
resolution
for
First and second.
second reading,
second and third reading.
second reading.
We just
Oh,
want to
just
give it
one.
a second.
Okay, sorry. For second reading, resolution authorizing the city of Bowling Green to participate in the financial and economic analysis relating to the Toledo Columbus corridor study for passenger rail. Resolution number 3817 for first reading, resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Bowling Green, Ohio to file a capital and operating plan for the years 2022 through 2025 with the Ohio Department of Transportation for grants through the U.S. Department of Transportation as authorized under federal transit laws as codified 49 USC Section 5311 financial assistance for other than urbanized areas. Resolution number 3818 for first reading, resolution authorizing the filing of an application with the Ohio Department of Transportation for grants through the U.S. Department of Transportation Federal Transit Administration as authorized under federal transit laws as codified 49 USC Section 5311 formula grants for rural areas, Ohio's Rural Transportation Program, and/or the Ohio Transit Partnership Program, and executing a contract for the fiscal year 2023 Ohio Elderly and Disabled Transit Fare Assistance Program, and 5339 and/or 5311 funding for capital and/or operating assistance, and the Ohio Transit Partnership Program, and executing a contract with the Ohio Department of Transportation upon project approval. Legislation for second reading. Ordinance number 8987 for second reading. Ordinance authorizing the municipal administrator and the public services director to advertise for bids and enter into a contract or contracts for sidewalk improvements, pavement striping, de-icing salt, and improving streets, alleys, and other public ways in the city of Bowling Green, Ohio. Ordinance number 8988 for second reading. Ordinance amending the zoning district map of the city of Bowling Green, Ohio for approximately 20.71 acres located just north of 525 South Dunbridge Road from A1 agricultural zoning to R4 multiple family residential high density zoning. Legislation for third reading. Resolution number 3811 for third reading. Resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Bowling Green, Ohio to file an application and execute a contract upon grant application approval under the Community Development Block Grant Entitlement Program as authorized by Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as amended.
I guess. I move that we adopt ordinance 3811, resolution 3811.
Second.
Okay, properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay,
Hollenbaugh,
yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Rubando,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold.
Yes.
All right, resolution 3811 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8982 for third reading. Ordinance authorizing an agreement between the city of Bowling Green, Ohio and the Wood County Regional Airport Authority.
Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette,
I move to adopt ordinance 8982.
Second.
properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay,
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Rubando,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh.
yes. Ordinance 8982 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8983 as amended for third reading. Ordinance authorizing the municipal administrator and the public services director and the utilities director to enter into a contract or contracts with specified vendors for work that may exceed $50,000 annually for calendar year 2022.
Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette.
I move to adopt ordinance 8983.
I second the motion to adopt ordinance 8983 as amended.
Okay, is there any discussion? Okay,
Robinette,
Yes.
Rubando,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
yes.
Fitz.
Yes.
All right. Ordinance 8983 is adopted as amended.
Ordinance number 8984 for third reading as amended. Ordinance authorizing the municipal administrator, the public services director, and the utilities director to advertise for bids and enter into a contract or contracts and/or participate in state of Ohio or federal purchasing programs for the purchase and/or lease of vehicles, equipment, and completion of projects, as well as the trade-in or outright sale of vehicles and equipment no longer needed for municipal purposes.
Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette.
it has become necessary to again amend this piece of legislation for three reasons. The first is to add a emergency clause language due to the urgency of the nationwide supply chain issues and the anticipation that delays need to be overcome by putting this legislation into action as soon as it's adopted. Secondly, there's the addition of the disposal of a parking vehicle from the police division and the replacement or disposal of a John Deere tractor for the Parks and Recreation Department. So those three changes have been worked into the amended legislation. Therefore, I move to amend by substitution ordinance 8984 for the reasons I just described.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Okay,
Rubando,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
yes.
Phipps.
Yes.
Robinette.
Yes.
All right. Ordinance 8984 is amended by substitution.
Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette.
I move to adopt the emergency clause for ordinance 8984.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Okay,
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
yes.
Phipps.
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Rubando.
Yes.
Okay, the emergency clause is adopted for ordinance 8984 as
And-
amended.
And Mr. President, I move to adopt ordinance 8984 as amended this evening.
I second the motion to adopt ordinance 8984 as twice amended.
All right, is properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay,
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
yes.
Phipps.
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Rubando,
Yes.
Dennis.
Yes.
All right, so ordinance 8984 is adopted as amended and amended.
And it's making its way to me.
Grab it quick before it amends.
Ordinance number 8986 for third reading, ordinance amending and adopting section 33.08B of the codified ordinances of the city of Bowling Green, Ohio regarding police division composition.
Mr. President,
Mr. Harold,
I move that we adopt ordinance 8986.
Second.
properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay,
Hollenbaugh,
yes.
Phipps.
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Rubando,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold.
Yes.
All right, ordinance 8986 is adopted. Is there any other business to come before council this evening?
Mr. President,
Mr. Harold,
I move that we excuse Councilmember Odorizio from tonight's meeting.
okay, I'll second.
Yeah.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. We are adjourned.
February 16th.
Yeah, I'm sorry.